Hello and welcome to the first episode of our brand new podcast, Fresh Off the Reel. My name's Lib,
And my name's Pat. We
and
watch movies.
we watch some fucking movies sometimes.
We talk about them. And this is one of those times.
Yep, so this is a brand new podcast that you're listening to right now if you have ears. Um Hopefully this is going to end up on, Spotify and other things like that. We're just going to sit here, talk about movies. Every week it's gonna be a different movie. Doesn't have to be a new one. Sometimes it's in theaters, sometimes we just watch something old.
Yeah, we'll be announcing whatever's coming next at the end of the show. So if you want to watch along or just have something to say about a certain movie, you'll know what you're getting into. It should be a fun time.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Plan eventually is to do some in-person stuff too, so YouTube will have some better visuals than whatever's currently in the oven for that.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah, right now we're recording on Discord, so there might be some delay between, or we might like talk over each other. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for now things are like temporary as far as it's set up, but hopefully we'll make this as enjoyable as we can.
Yeah. So if you're wondering what kind of movies we're going to be featuring on this podcast, it's literally anything. It doesn't even have to be a movie too. We could do TV shows. When we talk about a TV show, we're going to do the whole show as a whole and not each individual episode.
Yeah, we already have some shows lined up. We'll talk about those more later because one of them actually has to do with a segment we'll be getting into a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think that's pretty much it. I've never recorded a podcast before, so this is gonna be a bit weird.
Yeah, first time for everything, but things are gonna like smooth themselves out over time.
Yes. Speaking of first time for everything, what movie did we watch this week?
We watched Suicide Squad.
No, we watched The Suicide Squad. Different movie.
Right. Yeah, the James Gunn one, not the David Ayer one.
Yeah, the
God
not the.
forbid we ever watch the David Ayer one again.
Well, I did have to watch the David Ayer one.
And that's a problem for you. Because I did not. I did my time.
Just like they did at the beginning of Suicide Squad. Anyways, let's talk some cinema. So, what
so yeah,
happened
we watched,
in this movie?
So a brief little summary of what happened. Amanda Waller, on behalf of the U.S. government, sends a covert team of very bad dudes who served prison time. Oh, one of them shot Superman.
Oh yeah.
To Corto Maltese, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, on a mission to find and destroy all evidence of Project Starfish. Spooky.
Very spooky.
Now, after getting involved with a group of rebels and a romantic side plot between one of our main heroines, Harley Quinn, and the villain, everything goes poorly. Who would have thought? And it ends up leading to a kaiju fight with a giant alien starfish. Also, Sylvester Stallone, the shark.
Sylvester Stallone plays a fucking shark.
It's great.
That's
I'm convinced he wasn't given a script, and they just followed him around with a camera and microphone. Everything is ad-libbed. It is all real.
and
the scene at the beginning of the movie where Shark was reading a book upside down, that was real. That was Sylvester Stallone reading someone else's script because he wasn't given his own.
So that's what happened in this movie. Now but right off the bat, comparing this to the original, it's fucking night and day. This deserves an Oscar compared to the original.
And the original won an Oscar, so if that one did, this one definitely deserves it. There's gonna be some comparison with the original. I'm gonna try not to like overly blast the old one because I have very strong opinions about that one.
So do I.
But it's kind of hard to avoid the comparison. This is supposed to be a soft reboot, kind of. It did follow some drama in real life with the director and two studios. So there's a lot to point out to the original compared to this one. But I'm going to try not to go too deep into it.
Yeah.
Because the original sucks.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what would you give this Suicide Squad on 5, just to throw that out there.
Um, I gave it a 4. That I gave it a 4, and then I watched I watched, whose review was it? I don't know, some YouTuber's review. I forgot the name. Um, on YouTube, and then after watching that, it pointed out some things I didn't notice. But it was still a 4 to me. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree. I also gave it a 4 out of 5. I've seen it one more time since we originally saw it. And I've also looked into other people's like reviews, and I also learned a couple things. I walked away feeling a little less strongly towards things I liked more when I first saw it, but overall, I'd still give it a 4 out of 5,
Mm-hmm.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It might juggle between a 7.5 to an 8, depending on how I'm feeling. But overall, a really solid movie. Without question, it is the best of the DCEU at the moment.
Yes.
It's some of the best superhero stuff I've seen on the big screen in a good while, I'd say. I really enjoyed this. I had a fun time.
Yeah. Like especially after, well, I know we're not talking about Marvel right now, but right before watching this, well, a couple weeks before, I think we watched Black Widow. And it was kind of a disappointing superhero thing.
Yeah, like this, especially compared to um Black Widow, what we saw recently. That's like the most recent superhero thing we got to see in theaters.
Yeah.
It was that, and then like Spider-Man, but that was like pre-COVID.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. We
I,
watched
you know,
Spider-Man.
compared to Black Widow, which is the most recent thing, this is definitely a step in the right direction for the genre. James Gunn continues to knock it out of the park.
Yeah. He's
Um,
he's like there's a way he makes movies. Like he thinks of the superhero thing as like an afterthought. In my opinion, like he makes the movie to be fun and energetic, have a lot of action. Like we saw that in Guardians of the Galaxy. Not as much in Galaxy 2. Wasn't a lot of action in that one. But in this game's just game. This move. I'm used to talking about games. This
this movie,
movie is just pure testosterone, and I freaking love it. Like James Gunn,
yeah,
James Gunn's a giga Chad.
yeah, James Gunn has always looked at the genre as something that no one strives to really redefine. Everyone kind of found like what worked, and that's something Marvel has been doing for a long time.
Yeah,
But they
it's a
found what worked and they
genre.
stuck with it.
It's a genre with endless potential. 'Cause,
But
like, just it's a
not many directors
yeah,
feel like taking it beyond what's been done. And that's not to say this movie is super unique or original, because this really is just Guardians of the Galaxy with DC characters.
yeah,
But I think James Gunn brings this like his style brings a lot of fun and passion into these movies that we don't really get to see as often as we should. At least I think. We can like talk about the James Gunn situation a little bit,
yeah, yeah. We
because
can. I mean, it's
before we
relevant.
get
It's relevant to the
it,
movie.
yeah, it is relevant to the movie, and it's also before we it gets lost to us talking about the movie. But so I want to say 3 years ago, James Gunn was fired by Disney. Um, just as Guardians of the Galaxy 3 started production because of some uh, n- kind of poorly aged jokes he made about a decade ago.
Yeah,
Now, the content of what he said is not something we're going to discuss. That whole debate is not something I want to get my hands into.
nope.
But the point is, he was laid off at the time. DC offered him the chance to make the Suicide Squad movie after the failure that was the original David Ayer version. He took it. He went to DC. He ended up making amends with Disney and Marvel, and he went back. And he's back for Guardians 3. He helped write the Guardian stuff in Avengers. But he's getting the best of both worlds, right? But this one just feels like such a great like love letter to
Yeah.
ensemble outcast superhero team ups. He just really knows how to work with team up movies like this, and it was like going back to Guardians 1. He really knocks this one out of the park.
It felt so fresh. It felt so new. It was what the first movie really should have been.
I
I'm not
agree.
I'm not an avid reader of the comics. I don't read the comic. I don't know what the Suicide Squad is like in the comics at all. Do you know?
I've read like some stuff. I'm not a huge DC reader these days,
Hmm.
but I think in terms of tone, the first one is in the right direction, but it kind of gets overly edgy. It goes a little too far with it.
Yeah.
And this one kind of it doesn't go like the deep seriousness that I think the comics go through, but it has enough of that with some of James Gunn's just like lighthearted fun that they struck a right balance with it.
Yeah. Well, that's what the James Gunn that's it with the James Gunn situation that happened. It really just feels like a love letter and little bit of
Yeah,
a little bit of spite. It feels like a little bit of
yeah,
spite.
you definitely feel a little bit of spite in this. Like it's like, oh, making Guardians again, but better, and you could argue that. But
It's like spite against the original and against Marvel's. Like, look, see, you could still make a good movie without you.
yeah, exactly. And it worked out. He in the end he gets the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
He gets the pitch for both teams. He's making his paycheck. He's making movies he loves to make. Martin Scorsese would say it's good. Uh, it'd be a good theme park ride. Martin Scorsese quote. So yeah, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah, let's talk about the movie. Let's talk some cinema here.
So
Um, so
go ahead. You can
yeah,
start.
I'll start. I'm just gonna mention like some of my favorite parts of the movie. Um, definitely, my favorite character. I'm gonna say, was I. Okay, look, I'm not good with superheroes. Okay, don't remember their names. Idris Elba's character. What was his name? Deadshot? No, that's the
No,
first one.
that's the first one.
That's Will Smith.
That's Will Smith. That's a different actor.
Bloodsport. That's his name.
Bloodsport.
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 I love the rivalry between Bloodsport and Peacemaker, John Cena. It's it's so funny to watch it unfold. There is a big moment at the end, very climactic, where John Cena and Idris Elba. John Cena's got a gun to Ratcatcher, right?
Ratcatcher too.
Yeah, he's got a gun to Ratcatcher, and then Idris Elba comes in and murders the
Yeah,
fucker.
murders in quotation marks.
Oh well, yeah,
Spoilers.
murders in
Yeah,
quotes because he did do it
yeah,
for the greater good, you know.
yeah. But also like he's alive in the end. Just for future reference, we are going to be spoiling the movie.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, Peacemaker is alive at the end. He's getting a show, so no one's really surprised. But yeah, I agree. I think their little rivalry was built up really well throughout the movie. They have a lot of like really fun back and forth banter. It's great. Both actors are phenomenal. Uh, I think John Cena is great in everything. If he's in a movie, I'm watching it. And Fast and
Even
Furious is great.
Ferdinand, even Ferdinand.
Everything. He's in the Fred movies, and he's great in them.
He's in the
He's
Fred movies. I
Yeah, he
didn't
plays
know
Fred's
that.
dad. He plays Fred's dad in the Fred movies.
I didn't
And
know
and there's this part where he takes Fred and he just like puts him over his shoulder and like slams him into a table. It's amazing. he's he's just so good in everything.
that's fucking amazing. Now that makes me want to watch Fred.
I don't know if they're worth it, but John Cena's great. Idris Elba is also fantastic, and
He's
their
also fantastic
dynamic.
in everything.
Yeah, their dynamic is so good here. Like they have this really fun, but also like overly angry back and forth. It's so
Yeah,
good.
and at the end, in that scene where Bloodsport kills kills shoots at Peacemaker because he's not dead. They do this great callback to the beginning of the movie where because their powers seem like they're exactly the same. Like they're both really good shots, and that's pretty much it. They have this back and forth at the beginning about who's better, and then Peacemaker makes a comment about he uses smaller bullets, so it's technically harder for him. Technically he's a better shot, and then they do that callback at the end, and I loved it. I loved it because they
Yeah,
had
it's really good. It's like Chekhov's gun, right? Like they mentioned earlier in the film,
yeah.
and you think it's just a pissing contest, but it does come back later, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and I wasn't I don't know if you did, but I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. I
Oh
thought it was gonna be a one-off, like, oh, I'm better than you line.
yeah,
I didn't think they were actually gonna use it at some point, especially because we see both of them shoot throughout the movie, and it doesn't like they don't really call attention to the size of their bullets.
yeah,
So the fact that it comes up again later, is just really fun.
and they do this
It's really well
great
handled.
they do this great slow mo shot of the bullet going through the other one, hitting John Cena. It's so good. I love that shot.
Also, like it also ends just as quickly as it begins, which I really appreciate. Like they don't linger on it. Like Idris Elba shoots, and he's like, "Yeah, I knew I was gonna win. I know I'm better," and the scene just continues along with the story.
Mhm.
They didn't take the time to stop and like have him boast. It's just really well handled.
Yeah. And another thing, 'cause I want to mention something about Polka Dot Man. I think it's David, someone whose last name I can't pronounce. I'm seeing in a lot of places, like I've seen in on Instagram, I saw on Letterboxd a bit of people just not liking this character, like saying he's a bit too cringy to watch and stuff
I
like
don't agree
that.
with that. I loved him. I thought
Yeah,
he's great here. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good dynamic between all like Pacemaker and Bloodsport and King Shark. They're all kind of like they know how strong they are and they boast about it a lot. Um, and then Polka Dot Man's just in the corner, like
Yeah,
just
like he's
to himself.
arguably the yeah, he's arguably the strongest one there, but he's really timid and he has like this whole deal with his mom that like kind of holds him back. He's just a really good and interesting character. I think his dynamic with Ratcatcher is great.
Yeah,
I love the running gag with his mom. Like every time they need to throw him into action, someone will point out, like, oh look, like I just saw about the end of the movie. It's like, hey, that starfish, she's your mom, and he goes to attack it. I think it's really cool.
it's
And he has
it's
he
great.
has his like confidence. Oh, I'm a superhero moment at the end. He dies, but at least he gets his moment, right?
Yeah.
I just think he's a really solid character. I didn't find him cringy at all. I don't see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
like.
see the cringe. Like I could kind of see it, but I don't see why people are hating on the character just for that. I mean that's his thing. That's his shtick. He's very quiet and he keeps to himself.
Ratcatcher too. She's played by Daniela Melchior. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Not her first superhero outing. She voices Gwen, Spider Gwen, in the Portuguese dub of Spider Verse.
Oh really?
But this is one of her first like major AAA movie roles, and she's fantastic. She's really good in this movie. Might be my favorite character walking out. Uh, she just really sold me. She really feels like the heart of this team. The her story with her dad, played by Taika Waititi, is really good.
Yeah, and
Um,
I love her dynamic with King Shark. Get like
yeah, same.
yeah.
Their little friendship is really cute.
Mhm.
I love Sebastian the Rat. I think she's really fun.
Oh my god,
Her back and
Sebastian.
her back and forth with Idris Elba is great. Her power set is really cool. Surprisingly, I thought I was gonna be really grossed out by it, but I really enjoyed it. Uh, she's a great character. I think she's that like lighthearted character that the team needed because
Mhm.
she's not a kid. She's not a kid, and she doesn't feel like a kid. But like she's so vastly different than like all the others. Bloodsport's the trained assassin. Peacemaker is again also a trained assassin. King Shark's a monster.
He's a shark.
Like everyone has their demons and everyone has their shtick, but none of that. She's probably the most grounded out of all of them, and I think this team really needed that. She's just really good. I walked away loving her character.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that grounding, something I forgot to mention is because every superhero has its weakness. You know, it's Superman's got kryptonite. Batman, you mentioned his parents, and he pulls a fit. uh, but for Bloodsport, it's he doesn't like rats, and that was my favorite running joke throughout the whole movie. That he's just terrified of rats, and he hates Ratcatcher for it. Well, not
Yeah, and
hates,
then
but like
well, he's
dislikes
like
the
freaked
rats.
out by her powers. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really freaked out by her powers, and you can even the scenes where he doesn't speak about it, you see it in his face when he looks at a rat. He's like, "Ugh, holy shit."
Yeah, it's really good. I also just like that it's not a bigger deal than it needs to be in the movie. Like it's played off like a natural fear. Like yeah, people are afraid of rats, and he
Yeah.
just happens to be afraid of rats. They play it out just well enough, and he has this little story arc throughout the movie. But like by the end, it just all does finally able to like pet Sebastian the rat, and he's finally like becoming more comfortable with them.
Mhm.
But they don't make a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. They like make fun of him for it, but there's never a scenario where like it stops him from doing his job, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is a really obvious trope in these superhero movies that I was expecting to happen. Like, oh, he'll be fighting Starro or he'll be fighting Peacemaker or something, and he'll see a rat and he'll like freak out and choke up and get fucked over because of it. That doesn't happen. It's played off like a natural grounded fear, and it makes for such a great dynamic with Ratcatcher too. It's handled super well. This movie just handles its characters super well, except one that I'll get into a little later.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into that when we talk about the things we didn't like about
Yeah.
the movie. Um, now you might have noticed that we haven't mentioned Margot Robbie's character, Harley Quinn.
I can mention some
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm gonna mention some stuff. Because when I watched the original and when I watched Birds of Prey, I I just don't like her character very much. Like, I think she's a bit annoying.
Well, that's the
And
point, right?
yeah,
Harley Quinn.
I know it's the whole point. I was really disappointed that when I heard they were like one of the characters from Suicide Squad is getting their own movie, it was fucking Harley Quinn. Because at the time I think she already had her own animated series, but that's a completely different Harley Quinn, you know. Uh, well, just quickly on that, if you haven't seen the Harley Quinn animated series, it's amazing and you should watch it. I love that series. Um, but her in this movie, it felt a lot more tame. Maybe because there were crazier characters in this movie than her, but she felt more like not just a psycho bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a lot more. I mean, I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I see where you're coming from.
That's just my thing. Like there's I just have a thing where if I don't like a character, I will never not like that character. If we ever talk about the MCU, you'll know with a character named Nebula that I wish were dead. Not the actress, the character. I want to make that very clear that I'm not hating on Margot Robbie. I mean, me hating the character Harley Quinn probably means she's doing her job exceptionally well.
Yeah, because that's where I stand. Is I love Margot Robbie as an actress, and I love her as Harley Quinn. I think she's fantastic as the character. I think she sells me 100% that she is Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
She's on the same level for me as like Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr., where he sells me that he is Tony Stark. Um,
the perfect
uh,
casting.
the perfect casting. But I think she's kind of wasted here.
Yeah, well let's start getting into that. I don't know if you have any more things you want to mention about things you liked.
I think okay. I got more stuff to say. I got more stuff to say.
All right, then say
I think the movie's shot super well. There's a lot of great like one-off shots in here that I just love, and I still think about like many. We're days after having seen it, and I'm still thinking about it. That when Rick Flag, who I'll also talk about, because Rick Flag is back in this movie. But yeah, when Rick Flag is fighting Peacemaker, there's a shot where we only see the fight through Peacemaker's helmet. It's on the floor. The shot's a panning shot of the helmet, and we see them fighting. I
yeah,
thought that was great.
that was awesome.
But to go back to Rick Flag, he's great in this movie. He's in the original. He's not in Birds of Prey, but he's in the original Suicide Squad, and he sucks in that one. He doesn't add anything to the team. He's just kind of there. He doesn't do anything exceptional either. But in this one, he really feels like a member of the group. He's the actor. I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh,
Hold on.
it's Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman. Wait. Yeah, he's fantastic here. He really brings out Rick Flagg's personality more. There's a great scene right as the group meets with him at like the halfway point, where he's speaking with the rebel leader, and like he's they're making their plan, and they're like, oh well, since we're attacking Jotunheim, we're attacking Starro, everyone is gonna be after us, so you could sneak in and go kill the enemy warlords, and like it's just a really like cute scene.
His character is way better in this one. Like I remember while I was watching the first Suicide Squad that I kind of forgot that he was even in the movie. He didn't
Yeah,
add anything.
he really doesn't. He's just the gunman in the original, and like that's still the case here, and especially in a team with two other marksmen, you'd think he wouldn't stand out as much, but he does a really good job.
Yeah, and because one of the major problems that I had with the original Suicide Squad was when they tried having an emotional, serious moment. It just they either did one of two things. They either followed it up immediately with a really terrible joke, or they just flopped the whole emotional moment. Like there's just I don't feel any sympathy for these characters. And they did that with his character. I think what was it? It was his girlfriend or something. Was the
Enchantress, yeah, like
yeah,
that,
the
that was the
Enchantress.
whole emotional core of the first movie. So like Rick Flagg's girlfriend becomes the Enchantress, and that was his motivation for being involved in the first place. And it never really stuck the landing for me. I never bought their relationship. I never bought her as a motivation for Rick Flag to want to get involved.
Hmm.
They had like very little chemistry. It just felt really awkward in the original one. Or in this one, he feels more um in line with the rest of the group. He has this really cute moment. He has cute moments with Harley throughout the whole movie. He just feels like a more natural member of the team in this one.
Yeah. Well, do you have any more points?
We can jump back and forth. We'll start going into negatives because I have a lot to say about Harley.
Yeah,
To go back to Harley, but if I think of other things, I'll definitely mention them for positives because
yeah, for
this
sure.
movie's great, and I don't want to come off as we're just skimming through things either. But yeah, the movie's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, remember this is a it's we both agree that this is a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. With that, oh wait, Capaldi as a thinker is great. He's only in it for a short part of it, but Capaldi is really good. I love him.
Yeah.
He really pulls off the thinker well. Starro actually. Let's talk about Starro a bit because I love Starro. I think the CG on Starro looks great. I think the practical effects on the babies, like when they're flying in the air, it's CGI. But when they're on the characters' faces and like they're being controlled like zombies, those are practical effects, and they looked really good.
Yeah, they looked great.
I think I didn't go into this movie expecting a kaiju fight, and I'm really happy we got a kaiju fight.
For me, it felt like a bit out of place. I mean, like I should have been more lenient about it. I was like, okay, as a superhero movie, there's gonna be some weird shit. Because like again, going back to the original, there was just what was it, like an ancient civilization, and they just want to end humanity, something like that. Like they used to
Well,
worship them, and now in this one, it's now it's a giant alien from space. Now maybe it's just because I'm not used to DC. I know DC has a lot more,
extraterrestrial.
yeah, has a lot more extraterrestrial and like grotesque stuff than
Yes,
Marvel does.
Starro definitely is weird, like design wise, especially compared to the normal superhero shtick. But something I appreciate about Starro on this one, especially compared to the original, is DC movies are like superhero movies in general, but I find especially the DC movies always resort to end of the world scenarios that the heroes have to get themselves out of, which is fine. But a problem I had with the original is the team is severely underprepared to handle this threat. And two, Suicide Squad has characters like Batman and the Flash in it. and the movie kind of just pretends they don't exist, because there's no way a scenario like what happened in the original Suicide Squad would ever happen, but like someone like Batman and the Justice League wouldn't get involved with. It's just really convenient that they don't. Whereas in this one, the team goes into this without really knowing what's happening. They're not expecting a kaiju.
Yeah.
It's in a completely unrelated country, so the heroes would only really find out about it while it's happening or after the fact. And three, the movie establishes really early on that Superman is not available. So it completely writes out the possibility of just okay, well, why didn't they call Superman to save them? He's not an option. He's in a hospital because Bloodsport put him there. And so I think this movie handles that like because this is another end of the world scenario. If
Yeah, it
Star
is.
Wars would have been able to like get out of that country and go into the US and go across the world, it would have been an end of the world scenario. And this team is also severely underprepared to handle this threat. Two of them are gunsmen, right? But because they handled it more gracefully, I just really enjoyed it. And I found Starro much more fun visually than Enchantress was.
Yeah,
Enchantress was
Enchantress was
very
really boring.
yeah. Whereas like Starro's big, colorful, it speaks kind of. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool, and it's a good use of a character we'd otherwise never see in these kind of movies. Because realistically, we're never gonna see stuff like this again. It's just that it is by definition a stupid comic book character, right? And only James Gunn would put these stupid comic book characters into these kind of movies.
Yeah,
So I really like Starro.
because like with James Gunn, like you would have never expected. Like again, I'm not an avid reader of the comics, but you would have never expected like Eagle the Living Planet in an MCU movie. Who played him? I forgot who it was.
Fuck, I should know this. Kurt Russell.
Kurt
I
Russell.
sh- it's Kurt Russell.
It's Kurt Russell.
Uh,
Kurt Russell played a pretty good part there. But I think having the villain without a voice, like it doesn't speak, it's just this big looming threat, that could spawn a billion others of itself, basically turning the entire world into zombies. I think that worked a bit better than James Gunn's other villains.
I agree. Again, like I don't. Comic book movies have to ground themselves in reality a little bit because you need to get the general audience to come to see them, right?
Yeah.
So we can't. We're never gonna get proper adaptations of certain things from the comics. Like I don't think we're ever gonna get a proper Galactus adaptation, just because Galactus as a concept is just so like dumb comic book shitty. But I think James Gunn was able to capture just the stupid comic book shit aspect about Starro, and he just did it very really well.
Yeah, I didn't even know it had a name, so that's cool.
Yeah. Um, Visually, again, just since we're talking about Starro visually, visually the movie's great. The effects are really good. I love the scene with Harley when she's using the javelin to like
Oh
attack the
yeah.
guys, and instead of blood, it's like flowers popping out of it, and it's a really really small attention to detail. But because flowers are coming out of the javelin instead of blood, when she exits the scene, the javelin is not covered in blood at all, and you still see the flowers in the background. It's a really really small attention to detail, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked another scene that I liked with Harley and the Javelin when she like jumped into Starro's eye, and you're expecting like it's gonna be really gross, but it ended up being like a really
Really,
like a really
yeah, it's really
nice
beautiful.
looking like pool like, of super clear just water slime whatever it was.
Like it's like veins and blood, and it should be gross because it's an eye,
Yeah,
but it's just really like majestic, beautiful scene. The music really helps with that. Harley's reaction to everything helps with that. It's just a really cool scene.
the cinematography in this film is excellent, and compared to the first movie and even Birds of Prey, like Birds of Prey also had some of those pretty lots of colors, different like imagery shots. This movie just did it way better.
Yeah.
Everything is just way better.
The first one is kind of shot pretty. I mean, the first one is a Zack Snyderverse DCE movie, everything is like super monotone. Everything is gray and dark and ugly.
Even Batman
Shots
makes an appearance.
shots are very basic. I don't like how those movies are shot. This one, being James Gunn, it really took a step up in that regard. It's shot super well. There's a ton of great establishing shots. The cutaways and transitions in this movie are fantastic. I love the title cards in between like each act. I believe this movie has 5 acts, and the
Uh,
transition to all of them are
yeah.
great. I just really enjoyed it. James Gunn has brought this like beautiful, fun like aspect to this movie that I cannot get over.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned title cards because as this podcast goes on and as we do more episodes, you're gonna realize that I'm a big title card guy. I love title cards, and if they're done well, it gets me so happy, makes me so happy. And this movie's title card for the title of the movie, and like you said, transitioning through each of the acts, there was a really cool title card. Um, I don't remember all of them right away. But they were great. They fit in. They didn't just like it wasn't like in the first one where they just put a title card wherever they thought it would be good. Like I'm gonna say the only part I liked about like I liked a lot about the first one was when they were introducing the heroes and they had all the neon like marker going on everywhere. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, they they didn't do that with the introduction of the characters here, like where they had like a title card for each of the heroes' names. Uh,
For good reason, and mind you, that's another thing I want to talk about before we move on to negatives. Yeah,
yeah.
go on.
Um, it's they did it really well. This title, I like on the lib title card scale for the title of the movie, not for the transitions, for the actual title of the movie. I'm gonna rank it out of 10. I'm giving this one a 7. Very good title card.
Yeah, that's a really good title card. Um, just to go into something you were saying, because at DC Fandom last year, that's when this movie was officially shown off for the first time. That's when we got our title cards for the whole cast and all the characters. And as soon as that happened, um, everyone kind of expected like half these characters are gonna die, right? It's called
Mm-hmm.
Suicide Squad. This is way too many characters. At least half of them, if not more, were gonna die. And I loved the first 15 minutes of this
I
movie.
loved it so much. Like at first, I thought it was like they were dropping us in, and I was like, okay, it kind of feels like we skipped the
We're
first
rushing
half of the
into it,
movie.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's handled so well. It's played the way the characters are being played, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like the characters don't know this isn't real as much as we don't know it's not real. That they're actually the bait team. And it's the way it's handled where like we they're sent on their mission and we get a bit of their personalities before they kick the bucket.
We
And then
fucking weasel.
now all that happens only to find out that they're actually the distraction team, and that's when we cut back to 3 days earlier or 30 days earlier, and we get the proper establishment for what's going on. It's really good.
I love
Um,
that. And actually, speaking of that first team, we got a returning character there. We got Captain Boomerang, right? That's his name.
I think everyone expected him to survive the movie, because he was from the original and because he's actually a big Flash villain. But he's gone in
Yeah,
the
he's
first
di-
15
he
minutes.
he died. He died at the beginning.
Savant, Michael Rooker's character, I expected for him to live a lot longer, if not through the whole movie. He's also dead in the first 15 minutes, which I'm
Uh,
kind of disappointed about because I love Michael Rooker as an actor. Would
yeah.
have loved to see more of him, but he's a really fun introductory character because he's the perspective we see. He's the first one we meet. He's the one who watches everything unfold, and he's the last one to die. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's really good. I wish we got to see more of him.
Another one from that uh first group that we see is Pete Davidson's character. I forgot his name. It's like I have the cast list open in front of me and it says his character's name was Dick Hertz. I don't remember that, but I think out of all of them in the beginning, he was I think the weakest one. Like I love Pete Davidson, but didn't really
Yeah,
stick it on this one.
He's another one I would have liked to have seen more, but I think he does the traitor well.
Yeah.
I think it's established immediately that he sold them out and he dies immediately, right?
Mm-hmm. Um.
Sean Gunn is back, and Sean Gunn. That's
Yeah,
he
it's Sean
plays,
Gunn. Like every James Gunn movie has his brothers in it. So
and every recent James Gunn movie he plays or is part of that wacky animal character. He's Rocket's body. He's Weasel.
he's
It's
Weasel, and he's the best.
he's good, and he might come back for future movies now because that's a thing at the end.
Oh yeah, that was at the end. He got up and walked away.
The other characters in Team A didn't really leave much of an impression on me. Javelin was Australian, I guess.
No, well,
Not
no, no,
Starfire
no, he's
didn't really
not.
leave
He's
an
not.
impression.
He wasn't the Australian one.
Yeah, he was.
No, no, Javelin was the German one. He's played by
Oh,
Flula.
is he German? I don't know. Whatever. He had the accent, and they make a joke about his accent, and he dies.
Boomerang Man was Australian.
I'm not cultured, I guess.
Boomerang Man, Captain Boomerang, whatever. But yeah, Javelin's character. The only like I know Flula from like old school YouTube. That's where I know him from. Didn't know he became like an actual actor, so that's cool. But they killed him off right away. So
He exists in this movie to make a joke about his accent, and then give the javelin to Harley.
yeah,
That's his role, and he didn't really leave that much of an impression on me. Same for not Starfire. I can't even remember her name. But the orange girl was like really strong.
yeah. I don't remember her name.
But she didn't leave an impression on me. I thought she was like non-existent, basically.
I'm trying to. I don't even remember what she looked like. Like.
She's like orange and like
Oh
scaly. She's
yeah, the one that almost looked like Nebula.
yeah. Nathan Fillion is in this. He plays the detachable kid. It's a kind of funny joke. I liked it. I don't know how this man was expected to win any fight. His power sucks.
I love
But
that.
you know
Like,
what?
but I love that his power is just completely useless.
Yeah, he certainly is a thing.
He
I
certainly
mean,
is
I
a
like
thing.
Nathan Fillion. Never gonna see him again. Yeah,
That's all of Team One, right? Well, yeah. Well, Harley Quinn, but we already talked about her.
yeah. Harley Quinn's part of Team One and is with Flagg, but they joined Team Two, so we talked about them.
Yeah.
So the villains, aside from Starro, like the human villains, like the military or whatever they were, I don't remember. Don't really care.
Oh, like
Starro.
the yeah. I don't care about. I didn't really care about them, but one scene like the scene where they go to the camp and the whole team they think they're they're saving Flag, right?
The rebels.
Yeah,
They kill all the rebels. That
yeah,
was
but
really good.
they
Yeah.
were actually all the rebels. They killed all of the rebels. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, same. I liked that, like as an action sequence too. It was really fun.
Yeah, it
Like
was
the
great because like Bloodsport and Pacemaker again, they're showing off. They're trying to get more kills than the other, and then at the end, it's all they were actually the rebels.
yeah,
It was
that
great.
plot point I'm not super crazy about. I feel like it's a little undercooked, but I love that scene. Okay, so I guess some negatives.
Yeah, let's go with some negatives now.
Um, just to
Um,
continue, like I love Margot Robbie. I love her as Harley Quinn. She feels kind of wasted in this movie.
yeah, she doesn't get
Um,
a lot of screen time. I noticed.
she doesn't get a lot of screen time, and she feels pretty disconnected from the rest of the team.
Yeah,
Like she's part of Team A, which gets swept for the most part, and then she's off doing her own thing for basically half the movie. And she kind of just joins Flagg's team, and that's it. And then she just beats Harley, right? She doesn't feel connected to the plot at all. She doesn't spend a lot of time with the team, so she kind of feels wasted here, and it feels like the studio forced Gunn to put her in because she is the face of this
yeah.
franchise.
She really was the best part of the first one. She sold the movie. Everybody knows what she looks like at this point. Uh,
Yeah, so it feels like that's why she was here, and not because they had an actual purpose for her.
yeah, like you said, for pretty much for pretty much most of the movie, she's nowhere to be seen, and then like they cut to her and she's doing her own thing. Like she gets captured um by the
Yeah,
military, whatever they are, and then she has this romantic thing with the dictator.
yeah, for like one scene, and then that leads into for like Rampage,
Oh, right,
and
right, yeah.
it's a really good scene. I love that scene, but it feels so disconnected from the rest of the movie. That aside from that one joke where Team B is trying to save her, and like she meets up with them, and she'll
Yeah,
be like, "Oh,
I was gonna
well,
mention that. Yeah.
if you really want to do with your plan, if you really want to do your plan, I could go back inside." I thought that was really cute, but like otherwise, she's just kind of there. She doesn't really add much to the movie. I feel like if she wasn't in the movie, we wouldn't lose too much. And generally, for characters like that, especially an important character, it leaves some questionable decisions.
Yeah, it didn't really resonate with me because with the original, like she had a reason for being there, and like the whole thing with the Joker and everything.
Yeah.
Uh, but here, like she doesn't even mention the Joker at all, which I do like that she
Yeah,
didn't
well,
mention
that's
the
fine.
Joker.
That's fine. But she doesn't really have anything new to offer either. So she really just feels like a poster child more than a character.
Yeah, it was just to sell those tickets.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like at
Mhm.
least. And if they ever
I
do
just
another one, that she's 100% gonna be in it. So
Yeah, she's gonna be in these movies for as long as she possibly can. Until Margot Robbie's done playing the character, like fed up with the character, I think she'll be in them all.
yeah, and I think she has a lot of
Assuming she
fun
can.
playing the character. So
It definitely seems like it, and I love her as the character. Like I said, she sells me as Harley Quinn.
hmm
I just wish they would give her a little bit more to do next time.
yeah, well, like hopefully, like I'm kind of hoping for the Joker to come back, but not that Joker. Like, well, I mean, yeah, it has to be this Joker because it's in this universe, but not
Yeah, it wouldn't be Joaquin Phoenix. It'd be Jared Leto.
yeah, like because Jared Leto Joker is in the Snyder cut, right?
Yes.
It's even feels like a very different Joker.
Yeah, it does. The first Suicide Squad is such an anomaly. Like it's such a weird movie.
It's such it's like it's like when you have you ever seen American Psycho?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like comparing American Psycho and its sequel. Have you ever seen the sequel?
I've not heard great things.
The sequel is stupid. It has nothing to do with the first one, and I forgot what's her name. It's Mila Kunis. Uh, is the killer, and
Interesting. She
the
doesn't.
only reason she kills is because she wants to get a good grade in her class, and she kills all the classmates that do better than her. It's such a
Nice.
stupid plot. And then you compare it to the first movie, it's night and day. That's what it's like comparing Jared Leto
Joker.
Joker in Suicide Squad and then with the Snyder cut.
Well, he's also barely in the Snyder Cut for good reason.
Yeah, and they took out the
He,
"We live in a
they
society."
took out we live in a society. It's like the only reason I wanted there.
That was the only
Yeah,
reason people watched the Snyder cut.
he's just I don't like this version of the Joker, and I'm kind of happy that we're never gonna see him again. So, but yeah.
Well,
As far as negatives, I don't really have that much else to say.
yeah,
Overall, I really like
there's
this.
not a lot. Like overall, this was a great movie. It was really fun. Uh, I'm kind of expecting it. I'm kind of expecting to see it at the Oscars, or at least see James Gunn at the Oscars.
Yeah, I could definitely see this getting like costume design, like the first one did. I think if this one isn't at least nominated, because the original won best costume design.
Yeah,
I think this one, like at least if there's a nomination. I haven't seen a lot of movies this year, so I don't know what it's competing against.
yeah,
But
me neither.
or like a lot of 2021 releases, I should say. I've watched a lot of movies, but not this year movies, so I
Yeah,
don't know what it's competing against. But hopefully it gets some kind of recognition this year at the Oscars because it really deserves it, in my opinion. James Gunn is great. The movie's fun. It was fun to just go back to just a dumb, fun comic book movie after a lot of the stuff I've been watching recently. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend.
I think like one of my favorite parts about like the when we went to go watch it, it's just everyone in our friend group, like we went to watch it with like three other people. All we were doing was just making terrible jokes about the first movie and like just really wishing and hoping that this isn't as bad.
And I was pleasantly surprised. It
Yeah,
was really good.
it was so good. Like maybe I think the fact that the last one was so bad and then we had all this big anticipation that we hope this movie is a lot better. I think that is one of the reasons why I rated it so high. So maybe like in a couple years, if I watch it again, I might lower it to like a 3.5.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like depending on my mood, or like it sits between a 7.5 to 8 on 10, or 3.5 to a 4. That's where it sits. I don't expect it to drop because I really enjoyed this movie, but especially compared to the original. This is such a huge improvement over the first Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Like
Um,
it's great, and I would definitely recommend anybody even if you haven't seen the first one, don't watch the first one. You don't need to. You really don't need to.
uh,
Just watch this one.
you don't need to as a build up for this. But I also just wouldn't recommend it as a movie.
Yeah, just on its own.
I think that's everything I wanted to say about this.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything that we wanted to mention for the Suicide Squad. Just a really good movie, and we highly recommend it.
Yeah, go get out there and watch it.
Yeah, go sit your ass on a moist theater seat and watch the movie.
That's a reference.
No, that's a
That
reference.
that's a reference. Yeah, do you want to move on to our next segment for the show?
Yeah, so in this podcast, it's not just gonna be the movie review. Of course, it's mostly the movie review. Um, but we also have this other segment that we call "Hot Off the Presses." We're
That's
basically just gonna be talking
pretty.
about Hollywood stuff, Hollywood news, things that are happening around the world.
For the most part, it'll be stuff pertaining to what we're discussing at the moment, or what we're planning on discussing.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go into extreme detail about a lot of things. A lot of it's just going to be like lightning round. Here's what happened this week type of things.
Yeah,
But
we'll maybe say a couple things about it, but that's pretty
yeah,
much it.
but we're gonna try to at least keep it relevant,
Mm.
and it's be like a little short thing towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah, so speaking of being relevant, this wasn't in the notes that we wrote. But I was when I was looking at the cast list for the Suicide Squad, I just found this that Joel Kinnaman, who played Rick Flagg, uh, is facing a rape investigation. He just got
Oh,
he just got a restraining order from I think there was this woman who I didn't really read into it because I just saw it right now, who basically confessed to her being raped by him. So that's great.
maybe let's not talk about that more right
Yeah,
now.
we're not gonna talk about that more, but it was just perfect relevancy because he's in this movie.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
interesting. I did not know that. I did not know that.
yeah,
And
apparently happened in Sweden. So
okay, well, that's a thing.
now that's a thing.
That's a thing we're gonna move on from.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Pat, what else
uh,
happened in Hollywood this week?
so another thing pertaining to us, Free Guy came out today,
Oh yeah, freaking
starring
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. It came out today, premiered last night, and may or may not be what we're watching next week.
Just for a point of reference, the date we're recording this is Friday the 13th. Oh hey, well I just noticed that right now.
Spooky movie night.
It's spooky movie night. You guys better be watching a spooky movie out there. Well, when you see this, it won't be Friday the 13th. But yeah, today, Free Guy came out. Haven't
Yeah,
really checked some reviews of it. Haven't really looked.
yeah, but it's something that's been on my radar for a while. I'm definitely gonna be seeing this. I might be talking about it on
Mm,
here.
yeah, we might be talking about it next week. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, we know, but do you know?
Yeah, do you
No.
know? Now just something that's just a huge meme, and I love this. Venom 2 got delayed again.
This is the third or fourth time, I think.
This is the fourth time, and the new release date is October 15th, which I don't know if this is a coincidence or if this was intentional, but is also the same release date as Halloween Kills.
Ironic that it came out on Friday the 13th. It's continued the spooky trend.
It's the spooky trend. I think it was supposed
Yeah.
to come out in September.
Yeah, it was originally planned for September. It was pushed back a month. It might get pushed back again because of Delta variant
Mm-hmm.
stuff. More importantly to me is because Venom 2 is delayed, it is highly likely that No Way Home is going to get delayed,
Yeah.
as well as any other Sony productions that are coming out around the fall. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Hopefully things calm down. But it is very likely that Spider-Man will be delayed.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but likely.
Fortunate. More superhero stuff. The Moon Knight suit got leaked today.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I heard people are getting banned for sharing it on Twitter because it's not supposed to be out there.
Mm.
But I have to say, it looks good.
Yeah. Pat sent me a picture of it before we started recording. It looks it looks really cool. It looks really cool.
Moon Knight is being played by Oscar Isaac from Star Wars.
Hell yeah.
Really excited. Really excited for this show. Suit looks great.
Yeah. Moon Knight. I was actually introduced to Moon Knight really young. Like I knew about Moon Knight before a lot of people did because he was a character in a game called Spider-Man Web of Shadows. And if you played through because there's a good ending and a bad ending, and if you played through to get the good ending, Moon Knight is one of the characters that helps you through the game, and it's actually really cool that they featured him in the game. Especially since I think that game came out in like the early PS3 days. Moon Knight didn't really have a name yet.
Yeah, I mean Moon Knight still doesn't. He's a character. He's been around for a long time, but he was never like a mainstream popular one. Hopefully, the Disney Plus show changes that because Moon Knight is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've read the comics. I don't like this comparison, but it's a generally accepted comparison. He's Marvel Batman. Batman's cool. Moon Knight's pretty cool. He has like a multiple personality disorder where he'll have different personalities, and then each personality will have its own completely different life. It's super cool. Really excited for the show. Suit looks great. We can't show it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, we unfortunately can't show it, but maybe if you do some digging, you can find it.
You could definitely find it out there. It's on Twitter.
Um,
Uh,
something that's really close to my heart. Really close to my heart. I love Star Wars, and I, I thought she already had one, but Carrie Fisher, who, played Princess Leia, of course, is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
that's cool. I also thought she already had one,
Yeah.
but
She died in 2016. I thought, like, even before that, I thought by the time episode 7 was released that she would already have a star on the Hollywood Wall of Fame because she's not just in Star Wars, you know.
yeah, but she is known for Star Wars.
Yeah, she's
But
known for
she is
Star Wars.
she is a big enough name. So it's weird that it hasn't happened yet, but at least it's happening at all. You know, a little late, but better late than never.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another thing that's close to both our hearts.
Yep.
It's also not really big news. Daniel Craig continues to hate playing James Bond. I think he said that he hates playing this character at least once after every single movie he's been in since like Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
It's clear he does not want to play this character anymore, and he's only in it for the paycheck. But you know what? I'm all for it. I love Daniel Craig's Bond.
I love
I'm
Daniel
excited
Craig.
for No Way to Die. I hope he comes back for 10 more movies and they all make him miserable.
Like I think he said it on this occasion when he said it, I think he said he'd rather slit his wrist than play Bond again. So
Yep. And this is his last. This is his last one.
this is his
So
last one.
I hope.
Um,
I hope this means he had fun with it.
yeah, like because of course he's not just good in the Bond movies. He's in Knives Out, and Knives Out's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Fantastic
I
movie.
love him in Knives Out.
He's coming back for the sequel. I'm super excited. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. And lastly, this is not really big news. I mean, it's kind of expected, but Emma Stone is returning for Cruella 2.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. And also I think like Emma Stone's suing Disney for the box
She's
office opening.
she's thinking about it.
She's thinking
I
about
think
it.
I think she's probably waiting to see how Scarlett Johansson fares.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on the table.
Well, just quickly on the Scarlett Johansson thing, if you didn't know, since Black Widow came out simultaneously on Disney Plus and on in theaters. It costs for us because we live in Canada. It costs $36.99 to watch it on Disney Plus, but it costs considerably less in the United States. It ruined the because I think she gets paid for the
She
amount
gets paid for box
yeah,
office
for
numbers, but
box office and
she's
the
not paid she's not paid for Disney Plus sales.
yeah
And it was a breach of her contract. Black Widow in her contract was slated to be theatrical only release, but because COVID, obviously things changed. It's a kind of delicate situation. I think ScarJo is 100% in the right. She
yeah
should go after her money. Um, go off Queen. But at the same time, COVID issues are still a thing. The Delta variant is becoming a bigger problem in the States. So I'm not exactly surprised that Disney did this. It did not surprise me when it happened with Jungle Cruise, and it's probably going to continue to happen.
yeah because even Emily Blunt for Jungle Cruise is also uh talking to her lawyers about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, things are happening right now in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Disney should give these actors their money, just settle the suit and pay them. But I
Disney's
also
gonna be
can't really
Disney.
blame Disney's gonna be Disney, and I can't blame them for also not wanting to put things in theaters that people will not go see.
Yeah.
Realistically, movies right now are not doing so hot. A lot of movies are underperforming. The Suicide Squad underperformed. It's the state of the world right now. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
because it did also come out on HBO Max, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it did.
so really guys, if you want to support the creators of this movie and the actors in this movie, you should watch it in theaters.
But be safe.
Yeah, make sure to be safe. Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. Do what you gotta do to keep yourself alive, because things are getting a little scary again. But
Mm,
it's a delicate topic. But I'm sure ScarJo will get her money. I'm sure anyone who follows will also get their money, because Disney would rather pay than deal with them right
yeah.
properly, right? So
Well, that's it for that segment hot off the presses. And
there's one more segment,
there's one more thing we
and
gotta
then
go.
we'll be closing up.
Mm,
So to expand our watch lists or libraries, I should say, of like things we've seen.
our backlog.
Lib and our backlog. Lib and I decided to do a little recommendation game where every week, one of us will recommend the other a movie, and then the following week, they will discuss it, and then they'll recommend the other a movie. So this week, that's a poor explanation. But this week, I'll be recommending Lib, who has not seen La La Land, to finally sit down and watch La La Land because I love this movie and
I
I want everyone to watch this movie.
I haven't seen La La Land. I gotta watch it. It well no. I was about to say it won Best Picture, but it didn't.
It was robbed.
It was
For me,
robbed of Best Picture.
it was memed. It was memed out of Best Picture.
Yeah, it was Moonlight that won, right?
Yeah, Moonlight one,
Yeah.
which is also a great movie. Maybe I'll recommend that later.
Well,
But
I've seen Moonlight.
okay, so you've seen
Yeah.
Moonlight. Never
So
mind.
yeah, it's a surprise that I've never seen La La Land before. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It's a yeah how this segment's gonna work, like Pat said. So the next episode, next week, after we talk about the movie that week, and then we do hot off the presses. After that, I'm gonna talk about what I thought of La La Land really quickly. It's not gonna take too long, maybe like less than 10 minutes. Um, and then I'm gonna recommend Pat a movie, and then he'll do the same thing on the next episode.
Yep. So like a little back and forth hot potato with movies.
Mm-hmm. Until we eventually run out.
It's probably never gonna happen.
Yeah, which might it's
Because
probably never.
my backlog's long.
My backlog's
So
even longer.
yeah, we'll be doing this for a
We're
while.
gonna get backlogged.
Yep, we're gonna get backlogged. So yeah,
um
that's it. That's the end of the show.
yeah, that's the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. Tune in next episode next week, because well, we teased it before, but we are gonna talk about Free Guy.
The brand new Ryan Reynolds comedy,
Yeah. It's about video
and it's about
game.
that's something we both do. We both play video games.
Speaking of, right after this, we're probably gonna go play some zombies, so
If you want to see that, our Twitch links will be somewhere.
Yeah, they're probably going to be in the description of the YouTube. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, if this does end up going on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then make sure to check out the YouTube channel. It's going to be of the same name, fresh off the reel. You know, our cover art, you're probably seeing it on the screen right now, so just look for that. And you're going to find all of our socials there.
Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, hope to see you in a theater near you.
Oh,
Ooh,
topical.
topical. Good night, everybody.
Night.